I understand that overworking, excessive working hours is a huge problem in Japan. But what do you think about people who bring their job to their home? Like for example, people in Dentsu, they are now forced to finish their work at 10 p.m. I think they're gonna turn off the light in the office at 10. But all the employees have to bring their job to their home, then keep working at home. Isn't it also overworking or excessive working? What do you think about this? Usui-kun.
Yeah, I think it's one of big problems. We suggested, and now the entire society is changing the plan to decrease our working hours. But even if we decrease our time of work, but we have lots of jobs to do in office and at home. So we suggested the final suggestions of us was we suggested don't see it as virtue to work hard in a severe condition, or life should always go first rather than work. So this is our basic attitude toward this issue.
Okay.
And we each other are individuals should change our mind towards work, and this kind of change will spread into the society, maybe bigger community, or at last finally maybe that kind of change should spread around all around Japan. So maybe if so, we can, or employers realize the job we have now is a lot, and we should decrease not only working time but also the jobs we have. So at the beginning, but as a start, we individuals should change our mind towards work.
Yeah, this is also our attitude. So maybe we sometimes at work, maybe we need to be competitive with each other. So it may happen that, as he said, our position is life comes first, and we think about yeah. And also the alternative way is not be competitive, but we can maybe work. We can share our work in the office. So maybe we can talk with our colleagues. So can you help me? Can you help me? Or we can complete our task by cooperating each other. So that can be a solution. How do you think about it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have a question to your team again.
Me?
You said you are supporting Mama Square, but I think the Mama Square plan doesn't actually help the mothers who really in need, like single mothers, because single mothers have to work full time to live or make enough money to live, and also some mothers are doing sales job. So that kind of mothers cannot stay in one place. So what do you think about that kind of people who really in need? Do you think the Mama Square can work for them?
When you start working at the Mama Square, you can choose time to work and also length of the time. So in the presentation, I said, for example, you can work there for only 2 hours or 3 hours, but you can work as much as you like. So if you want to work longer than 2 hours or 3 hours, you can set your shift from 9 to 5 or 10 to 11, because the Mama Square, mainly they provide the jobs to mothers mainly that work is telework.
Telework.
Telework is Japanese.
Working by phone, yeah.
Working
by phone.
by phone.
Like it's or I don't know, call center.
So receiving calls and also call to some houses or some advertising thing. So they can choose lengths of work too.
Does it make enough money for them to like live on their own?
Well, Mama Square is kind of like our first step. We also want city-approved nursery schools, ninka, hoiku, and stuff, but it's hard to make that stuff because it has to be approved. So our suggestion is maybe, we didn't say that properly, but Mama Square can be the first step because it's easier to make, and mothers who want to work shorter time can go there instead of the approved nursery school. So yeah, it can be the first step. Thank you.
What can you do for the mothers who already have a job?
I think there are two types.
Two
Mama
types.
Square.
Okay.
Those for the people who wants to continue in one company, and for another one is for people who took the maternity leave and in search of jobs. So for those people, we can provide a job with Mama Square as well as the space for kids. Yes, so I think there are two types.
Since Japan is not as diverse in terms of race as Western countries, like America, for example, I think there are relatively less incidents of hate speech in Japan. Well, we saw an example, but I think there are less than what America has. So I feel that not many people are concerned or know about the issue. So how do you think you can raise awareness
About hate speech.
so that people can know?
That's the point that what we were talking about. So we can firstly now you all know about hate speech, so you can talk hate speech with your friends or families, and then like people know about it. And also we show the poster. So posters are not everywhere, but like somewhere. So yeah, and what else? Yeah, but discussing the topic is and also checking news, and there must be some news but related to hate speech. So it's up to you. So.
Have you not heard or seen about hate speeches in public, like in front of the station, or like the actual hate speech?
That was my first thought.
The video. I think the hate speeches are often happening in many of them are in Kanto area and also Kansai area, Kinki area, and Nagoya City is only 11%. But still in Toyohashi Station, around the Toyohashi Station area, and sometimes in Meiki area. And also, so maybe when you when you see them, I think you get big impact, like we showed you.
From this side, or Toshigi, you have something?
Yeah, can I ask one? I understand that hate speech is not should not be forgiven in any types or anywhere. But if we have some regulation law for the hate speech, I think still there are some gray zone ambiguous between the free speech or hate speech. So what do you think about it? The standards of hate speech or the line between the free speech and...
Actually, that's the problem we talked about yesterday. One of the problems about hate speech is that, as I said in the presentation, there is no clear definition of hate speech. So there's no clear criteria to judge what is hate speech and what is not. So there are so many gray zones, but what matters here is that how specific people receives the words or behaviors conducted in the public places, like in front of the stations. So I agree with you that there are so many gray zones or some behaviors which hard to be judged as hate speech or not. But what is important here is that we need to raise our consciousness and we need to be more careful about hate speech to prevent those problems from happening.
Do you think each area's school board should have to choose which textbook is used or like screen on their own? Do you think each school board, like IT school boards, choose their own textbook and Osaka school boards choose their textbook?
I would
Depending on each area's situation.
it's better maybe because the situation of education is different from each other areas. So depending on this situation or student achievement, the school board or some areas, depending on areas, the textbook should be chosen. I think.
In that case, I wonder there might be difference between qualities of each areas. Like some area has very high level quality, and the pupils will be very wise. But some areas don't have very high level, and then students will be not that wise, and it's maybe will affect their future.
Can I say my opinion? My point is, our point is that we have, like he said, we have standard, like on the standard, he said. And as long as we have standard, we don't really need the screening from the top, like from the Monkasho thing. And I believe we need like more differences. We accept differences. Like I don't want to like equalize all of the education. I accept the differences, and if there will be like problem, like you said, too much gap of like the education or the level of education, it's gonna be problem. It should be changed. But as long as we have the standard, and because we have standard, it's not gonna be really the problem. Because the standard should work.
So you don't mention the screening system should be abolished.
No, we change.
At first, we had the opinion that it should be amended or scrapped, but at the end, sorry, I was nervous, so kind of a mess. But I mentioned that it shouldn't be, like, we're not saying that everything about screening is bad. We just want the information available, or for the people who are concerned about the issue, and the certain way, the why the system is done for. We want to know those two things. So we want to know why that person chose that textbook at the first place, why the government chose those textbooks in the first place, and why the Nagoya City School Board chose that textbooks to use in Nagoya City. Because we're going to study with that textbook, we want to know why. Well, we did already, but we should have the right to know why that textbook was chosen for us, for our education, or your child's education. Is that clear?
Yeah.
よかったね。Okay. Well. お疲れ様でした。Okay.